My guest on Talk Design in the special series for the AIA Austin Homes Tour for October 2024 is Elizabeth Alford. Now, Elizabeth is from Pollen architecture and has a fabulous home to share with us. It's called Double Duty, and it's in the Holly Street area in Austin, Texas. And it's a piece of genius and quite a task. We're going to share a few pictures as well. So if you are listening to this only, you will be able to go and see these on YouTube. And we'll describe what we're seeing anyway, so that you get a sense of what's happening. Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adrian. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Yeah, we've had a good little chat already, and I'm like super excited about this property. First of all, I just want people to get a bit of sense of who you are and why you draw pictures. What's going on with this?
I am an architect here in Austin. I grew up here. I studied on the East Coast and worked up there for I was there 15 years altogether, and moved back here when I started having kids and felt the pull to come back home to this place and this landscape. I run Pollen Architecture, and we do a variety of projects. In the last 5 or so years, our focus has really been residential work. We've always done residential work, but we were also doing institutional projects, and creative workspace projects were also a focus. We designed a compound for creative professionals here in town where we office. During the pandemic, we started getting a real shift in the calls we were getting, and it was primarily residential. So we were excited for that. And that's been the focus of our work recently. So really excited to be on the Homes Tour again. It's a great event.
So you've been on previously?
Yeah, we had a house on it in 2012. So it's been a while.
2012, goodness. I think the first time I went was around maybe 2016. So it's a return. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's so cool. I love the fact that you were saying then about that shift into doing more residential architecture. And I think that architects globally saw that there was so much pull from the pandemic, people being in houses. I'm really keen to see if in the future we end up with this pull back the other way, because there's so much empty office space still from the pandemic. And like offices have had to become places people want to be, because they've already proven they don't need to be, other than for community. And then if an office doesn't develop community, people go, I can get community at my local coffee shop. I can get community in my local neighborhood. So while we have people still massing in cities, we're seeing a decentralization within cities that we never had before. So it's fascinating. I having both a foot in both camps, I think you get to see this thing where if you're not bringing the elements and refinements of a beautiful home to an office space, you can't expect. It's like going, who would work in a factory like they used to 100 years ago? They're not going to work in office spaces like it either.
Yeah, absolutely. We thought about that a lot, and what would the right kind of workspace be for this location. And we are in a residential neighborhood, so we kept a more residential scale to the buildings and made a lot of connections to outside and a lot of opportunity for community building, a lot of sort of outdoor tables and things like that for people to cross paths and meet each other. So
do you see, I'm going to use a pun here, but do you see a lot of cross-pollination between those two genres now that never really existed before?
It's something I think about a lot. I don't know if it's happening profession-wide, but I'm thinking about the same things in both, really. I'm thinking about scale and proportion and where the light's coming from, and what the materials feel like. And there's a lot, I think, that carries over from one to the other for sure.
Yeah, nice.
And for example, in this house, you'll see the clients work from home quite often. So there's that kind of crossover too, where it's people are working, your house is your office now. And so there's definitely a lot of overlap.
I think, that is a fundamental lifestyle shift in people's behavior that the pandemic created. And the realization that we could keep operating within good commercial sense, like with good commerce, but we could do it with a lot more chosen spaces, like a more deliberate actions. And then tech also really lifted. You think of what we're doing now, we're on Zoom. Think of Zoom before the pandemic, think of Zoom after the pandemic, and it's so vast.
Yeah.
Let's get into
Absolutely.
double duty. That this is in East Austin and a fabulous neighborhood. And I want you to take us a bit about the house first, but the brief of the house. And then I do want you to tell us about things like the end of the alley and the walk, and we'll come to all those pieces as we go. So start with the brief, like what were your clients after?
Our clients are really interesting for Austin in that they have a car, but they don't like to use it very much. They really like to be out and about, and they like to walk to the farmer's market for food. They like to explore what's happening in downtown Austin and the East Side in particular. And they wanted to be within walking distance of all of that. And they also wanted a quiet neighborhood. So that's a little bit of a tricky balance. They didn't want to be downtown. They wanted to be in a neighborhood, but close to downtown. So they found this lot that met all those requirements and was affordable. And the trick was it was sharing the lot with another house was what made it feasible from a budget standpoint. The house it faces an alley. Alleys are great for a lot with two houses because the houses can have separate entrances and one person doesn't have to walk by the other house. So that was a real advantage. And the alley itself is unusual in that it dead ends into a little strip of park. And the park strip leads down to Lady Bird Lake, which is our great hike and bike trail. So it's a really nice setup for walking, and it has some cars, but it's very minimal traffic on it. So it's a really nice entry into the house.
Yeah, fantastic. And it makes it such a quiet, like it's not a street, it's an alley, and being dead-ended.
Yeah.
Or like it means that you maybe get foot traffic and cycle traffic through it, I imagine. Like it's an alternate route.
Yeah, exactly. And our clients ride their bikes a lot. So there's like a special spot for bike parking too. So it's definitely meant to be a more urban version of living, which is really nice. That part of it was very interesting for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. And the fact that also it's quite a small home, so maximizing the amount of space in it. I know that you have a photo of the original. Don't share that quite yet. I want you to share, when you're going to share the first photo, I want you to share one of it when it's now, how we see it now. For the tour, we're going to rock up. Goodness knows where we're going to park because it is an alley and we're going to have people coming through there. You're going to get to walk down the alley, I'm picking, and then what are we going to see next? Most of it down alleys tends to be a back fence. What happens with this property?
There's a screen porch that has an interesting volume to it. So that's what I think catches your eye as you're coming down the alley or driving down the street, the larger street where the alley ends. And I think in terms of people coming for the tour, it would be great to ride your bike, honestly, or even walk there. There will be parking along Robert Martinez, which the alley tees into. But it would be great to walk there or not come in a car if possible.
experience it. So coming through the bike path and the walking trail, if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
If
That'd
time
be great.
allows, that would be really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got this sort of interesting shape that peaks up and I think catches your attention. And the screen porch is very much part of the original brief. They love to be outside. One of them gets eaten by mosquitoes, so they really need a screen enclosure. And it was also one of the ways that we help the house feel bigger. We spent a lot of time tinkering with the code, the zoning, and the codes and maximizing every possible square foot we could on the property. And so a screen porch doesn't have to count towards your FAR. And it seemed like a great strategy for helping the house feel bigger and getting some additional living space.
I love it. If you would share that one now of what it's going to look like for people who arrive. And this particular photo is like a, what did I say? It's like an afternoon photo. So it won't quite look like this afternoon photo. Yeah, that's the one.
Are you seeing
it won't
that?
Quite, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it won't quite look like this, but what you're seeing is this large height screen porch that kind of, it's like you're looking through into the house via the screen porch. And in this case, the photograph is, you'll see Casey's taken this in the late afternoon and it's lit from back in the home. Yeah. I want you to tell me about within the home taking this and then the amount of light that the home has if you were in mid-daylight, if you're in mid-sun, around noon or something. What would this home be like?
It has amazing daylighting. We definitely were looking for ways to help the house feel very generous given the compact size. And so from the beginning, we were drawing Clerestory windows and dormers and anything to take your eye up. The other thing you'll notice in this picture is giant pecan trees on the east side of the property. So we wanted to take advantage of that by having windows looking up into it. The daylighting is really beautiful inside, both from the Clerestory window up above, and then we have fully glazed windows and doors here in the front.
Yeah.
The front door is one of this series of foldaway doors facing the screen porch. So it visually extends out into the porch.
So when we arrive at this home, we're actually going to enter via the screen porch. So the screen porches back in the day, it might have been like a porch that you would have stepped up onto, and then the front door is back there with the house. In this case, it feels like the screen porch door is the front door of the home without it being, but with it being, I should say, totally transparent. So you arrive and you come to the screen porch and then you can see through the front wall of the house, which is actually now glass. And so you're getting these layers and looking back through the home, which, it looks beautiful, looks really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, we use steel to have very thin profiles on the columns for the porch and really wanted it to feel very open.
Yeah. And look, like beautifully achieved, like really beautifully achieved. And I think I would love you to show what you started with, because this is actually a renovation. And look, if you are listening in your car or listening at the office or wherever you're listening, take a moment to find our YouTube channel and have a look, because you really get a sense of possibility when you see that this is what the client presented Elizabeth with to start with. And if you look at both those pictures, you're going to go, oh, wow, okay. So this is what you renovated to get to what we just saw, which was so beautiful. And these are your clients in the front here. So
yeah. They found this lot, and in Austin, in the zoning of that time, you had to have a lot of a certain size to be able to build two houses on. And this lot actually was smaller than that. But because there was a big garage built in the back, it was allowed to be grandfathered in. So this was all sort of a trick for getting to be able to build a house here. And we had to keep a certain percentage of the exterior wall as a renovation to be able to qualify. So we did that. But then the building inspector, upon seeing it in real life, thought it should come down right away before it fell on someone. So we rebuilt at that point.
You know how you said how it was grandfathered in, and did they buy the lot before they spoke to you, or were you part of the purchase decision?
They came to us when they were in serious negotiations, but before they had actually purchased. So their first question to us was, can we build, we think we need a 900 square foot house. Can we build that on this lot? And we did a little feasibility study for them. And that was how we first got to know them.
As me being in the industry, the number of times that people purchase without actually knowing what they can and can't do is astounding. And I wouldn't know it other than being here for 20 something years. And they have a dream, or they have an outcome they're looking for, and they purchase and it can't be achieved because of regulations on that land or whatever. And with it, this had you not been able to grandfather this in, this wouldn't be achievable. There was a way of doing it, but they could have bought the lot and ended up selling it again because it couldn't be achieved. And
yeah, exactly. And it was also the existing structure was within one of the setbacks. So because of that, we could keep that width, which helped. We were really strategizing about making every extra square foot we could find. And that was one thing that helped.
Yeah.
So
I think this is the value of starting design with knowing what your land allows you to do, and engaging you obviously at that point was a very smart move on their part, because they could have actually ended up, as I say, with a piece of land that maybe would have made a nice like tennis court or something, pickleball court, and they would have had to live somewhere else but go play pickleball on it.
Yeah, these clients were wonderful to work with and really did a lot of homework. They were very much participating in the process all along, sent us very clear ideas about what they wanted and how they lived and what they needed in the house. And that was super helpful. So they were a lot of fun to work with.
So we'll stop sharing it, but for those of you who haven't gone and had a look, there is no roof. There isn't even 4 complete walls on this home. It's on what's there currently, and yet it does become a fantastic home. So take me for a walk, Elizabeth. I'm walking up towards the screen porch. What happens next? Where I'm going to take my shoes off somewhere outside there, check on my booties, and then come through the screen porch.
Yeah.
What
the screen porch is elevated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you were mentioning, in older houses, the porch is elevated, and this one is too. And part of it's meant to be a threshold where you stop and take your shoes off as well. It's a no shoes house in day-to-day use. So there's a bench on the porch for that purpose and a little storage. And then you come to the front door, which is really similar to the foldaway doors, but has a little heavier frame. So it's legible as the front door. You come in, and then you're in the main room, which is living as well as kitchen and dining. And it has wonderful natural light coming from above. And then it's wrapped in cabinetry, and it feels a little bit like a ship in there in terms of beautiful wood veneer wrapping. And there's a place for everything, carefully situated. And you also are looking through to the backyard and getting glimpses of the backyard.
Yeah, this is a real place to take pause. Even before you come through the real front door, you can see into the house. I imagine on tour that whole wall will be open, so you'll have to check where the threshold of the front door really is. And then I don't know, you can tell me, you've got a burnished concrete floor that runs through.
That's right.
Does it run all the way through from the porch, from the screen porch?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
The whole front to back is concrete. One of the things the clients asked us for was a very low maintenance house.
Uh-huh.
So concrete is super easy to maintain, very durable, and looks really wonderful too.
Yes, yeah, it's got a beautiful softness to it. That's such a
It
line
does,
to
yeah.
say that, but
Yeah,
burnishing
I know what
concrete
you mean.
lets you, yeah, it's got a softness to it that's so beautiful to look at. And then you've got some amazing cool things here. You've got built-in window seats, and you've got
Yeah.
fantastic cabinetry, like you said, because part of the brief is the storage. So
Hmm.
looking at that, everything has a purpose. And we're in, how many square feet did you say? 900? Is it 900 including the porch?
917, including the
Including the
porch.
porch,
Yeah.
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 This is a compact space, but the sense of light and, or not light, the sense of space and light that's flowing in here, and the views out to the trees whilst maintaining massive amount of privacy is just incredible.
Hmm.
And that long view as well, where you're looking out into the backyard just from this one point. So as you come in, take a little pause, probably around the threshold, or even right from as you come through the screen porch thing. The screen porch is going to funnel people. They'll be able to spread across the screen porch to look through though.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
that's your first moment of pause in this home, is look at how the wood connects everything, keeps it really warm. And then the fact that Clerestory window is allowing all that tree life, all that foliage and the sky to be a part of your view as well at this point. So
Yeah.
really connecting you and journeying you.
It gives a feeling of serenity to the space that's
Yeah.
really lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the cabinets make a sort of buffer around the edge in a nice way. And
Yeah.
one thing that we worked out was the clients work from home. They're both software engineers, so their workspace requirements aren't huge. It's basically a laptop, a server, it's pretty minimal, but that exists behind this cabinet
Yeah.
so that they can open it up when they're working and then close down at night, and it folds away and you don't see it anymore. So it is double duty. That's the double duty.
That's the double
it's
duty
live
of the
and work.
name.
Yeah.
So when you come into the property here, and you come into this main room, which is kitchen on your left, and then
Yep.
straight ahead will be the sofa and stuff. On the right hand side wall, in this beautiful cabinetry, it opens out to have a office desk, and you can be seated there. You're sitting in the most stunning area of the home, and you're sitting there and you're able to work you out away and be in touch with everything else that the home's got offering as well, in a
Yeah.
really compact space, which I think's brilliant. How did, with two of them being in there and they both might be working from home at the same time, how did you separate that?
In the bedroom, there's a small flip up desk. Maybe I should go to that picture 1 second.
So this is another lovely piece of design genius, where you've got this desk that is there but not there, and you again get this beautiful view into the yard, which is
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot we had
did
this
we?
one in here. So
Oh yeah, of course.
so the cabinets on the right side open up for a pull-out desk.
So this is
and
in the living area. This is we've just shown you a photo
Yep.
of that. So if you're standing in the kitchen and you're looking across, I don't know whether they'll have this open on the tour. It probably will. You can
yeah, I
get
think we'll
these.
be demonstrating it a little bit.
I imagine you'll be demonstrating it a lot if it's not open. But yeah, this office space put into the living room, you get to see how, just with beautiful design, how quickly you can change a space and make the most out of a space. And again, right beside it, beautiful windows, window seat, the ability to see distance, all those things that actually, like, most people would love to have this there as their office anywhere, not just in a home. It's fabulous. Show us into
Thank you. And then the back one has the bedroom in back is looking into the backyard, which is mid-block because the other house is facing the street. And we chose this particular view for the window and a window seat. So it feels a little like the porch again, but on a smaller scale. And you're looking into beautiful pecan trees at that moment, and but still private from the neighbor directly behind. So that view was carefully placed. And then right outside, there's a concrete wall as a privacy buffer for the bedroom. And to the side of the window seat, there's a flip up desk that's at standing height. For one of them works back there while the other one's in the living room. So they can both be on a call at the same time in the house.
Yeah. Gain their own private spaces out of it. I imagine if it was me, I'd be sitting on my laptop and the screen porch would be my actual spot. I'd be like,
I think me
I'm
too.
going out the front.
Absolutely.
Pieces of genius in this piece of your design here is the way that this on the right hand side, so you come through the door and over on the right we've got the windows and they wrap the corner of the room, and then the concrete buffer wall which really separates you from the neighborhood, even though you're getting the long views and all the pecans and you know that there's more beyond. It really anchors. It's not like having a fence, it's like having something that is a barrier without hiding you or without you hiding from everybody else. I think it's the weight of it against the lightweight of the home as well. It's like a full stop and you can go and feel secure by it.
Yeah, it definitely has a more of a secure feel, and it's at a very particular height. So you can see over it, but be shielded, like from your chin down, you're shielded. So it's carefully placed, and then you get the big trees rising up behind it.
It is fantastic. And everywhere throughout the home, you've treated the ceilings with the ceilings are sculpted. They're moving in directions and opening the space up as well, which again makes the volume bigger, but it also changes completely how it feels. The flat plane is really the floor, and then everything else is pulled in around there.
Yeah, peeking up, and the roof in the Clerestory is going at a different pitch than the roof in the front and back rooms. And that was intentional. We liked the counterbalance, and we were looking for an opportunity to give the ceiling some generosity and some height. So that was one way we achieved that. And we wanted to do a type of roof that would fit in with the context of the bungalow houses around. This is actually a really historic neighborhood. Doing a shed roof brings the scale down. And then we enjoyed formally having two different shed roofs going in different directions. So there's play there.
Yeah, I like that. And I think remembering that these guys are software engineers or developers, they're used to working with maths, working with spaces, working with these things. And so matching into their personalities as well, of keeping it interesting, but without it screaming at you, without it being this massive visual impact. It's like it's surrounding you. I think architecture, good friend of mine, architectural photographer, he always says to me, architecture is one of these strange things. You need a photographer because you can't make it travel. And it's static. And I'm like, it's a really good point. And that travels a photograph, which travels you or allows you to emotionalize a visual aspect. Architecture has the ability to emotionalize with a spatial aspect, and this home is going to be very much one of those homes that take pause and feel, because it is compact, and it's so cleverly compact. And then the timber work and stuff inside the home is going to give back to you. It's going to really connect you with the outdoors and make you feel that warmth of the timber. But then the shapes and the way you've used the shapes and putting that corner window with a window seat so it extends you beyond it, not just finishing it right there. Just these little pieces. Pause and feel when you're on the tour. Pause and take in the emotion that you feel from it.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you for saying that. It definitely, it feels good in there. And we really worked on that design wise. I think the natural light contributes to that a lot. And as well as there's something about having a volume and then just a piece that moves beyond it a bit, like the window seat or the porch. Those, I think those are the spaces that help it feel enlarged or sort of extend how it feels.
Yeah, they create adventure and mystery and magic. That could have just been a wall with a corner of glass right there, but just extending that seat into the space just pulls you that piece further and eases it and takes you, mentally it takes you somewhere. Mentally it allows your mind to shift beyond what your expectation is. But it's so subtle that it doesn't force you, it just engages you. And I think that's the magic of great design. Great design does that, and you don't know why it does it, but it does it. As an architect, you work out how to make it happen. But when you're just experiencing a space, those are the magical pieces. And especially when you take a small space, being able to bring those in. In a large home, it's easy to bring those things in. But here, when you're up against a square foot is a square foot, and a square inch is a square inch, and you're going to run out of them pretty quick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Adding them at this point
the
is
special
wonderful.
sauce.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to tell us about this place, about the home? I would say to people also, don't forget to experience this from the outside. The facade of this place is beautiful. The garden setting is beautiful. Or don't just walk through the inside, get outside and observe this from all its angles, like the bike park and these different pieces that the house offers and how much you can really do with fantastic design in a tight space, in a tight footprint.
Yeah, I think a couple of things that are interesting to note about this house is that with the new zoning, it's much easier to build a second house on a lot with the new home zoning ordinance. So I think you're going to be seeing more houses of this size. And I thought it was a great test for us on making a fully functional home for two people that feels generous and spacious and is architecture even on with the small footprint. So I think it's interesting from that standpoint. And I'm excited to see what's coming for Austin with this change in zoning. And I know a lot of architects are working on different ways to densify and add more living space in the central part of the city. I think the other thing for us that we really drew a lot from the context. And I think this house is very much tailored to this location and this site. And I think one of the things that's really fun about what I do is getting to design something very specific and really take advantage of all the wonderful features of a specific site. That's what makes each program really interesting, that and what the clients bring to it as well, obviously. So it's a really fun, engaging process.
I think one of the things that, like you say with that, like it's responding to its site. And my belief is architecture's first response is to its site. And then everything beyond that is, which one are you going to share? That one, cool. Architecture's first discipline or first calling is to respond to its site. And then it's got to respond to its regulations, and then it responds to its clients. And those things then, they're intrinsically all pulled together. One of the things that I talk to a lot of architects globally, every week I'm on talking to more than probably 3 to 10 architects, maybe 30 some weeks, through the show and through other pieces that I do. But with that, we are all seeing this densification of old neighborhoods. So the lessons that whether you live in London or whether you live here in Australia or you're in New Zealand or anywhere in America, you will be seeing this happen in your neighborhoods as we get better utilization of our utilities. This is the trend. This is how we do it. And with that, this is a great example of doing something spectacular in a not confined space, but in a neighborhood that is being densified without ruining the flavor of a neighborhood. In fact, enhancing the flavor of the neighborhood and taking it from now for the next 100 years as it flows. And Austin is a particularly well-planned city. It's Larry Speck is I'm a great fan of Larry, and he talks about the
Larry's
planning of the city, that whole thing. And so this is part of that evolving master plan. Elizabeth, thank you so much for sharing Double Duty with us. And if you're coming on the tour this year, by all means, make sure that you do not miss this house and see what's available on a small lot with tight regulations, with great design. It's a great juxtaposition between, say, some of the big homes that you're going to see on the tour this year.
Thank you so much, Adrian. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, fantastic. I look forward to seeing this home and you in Austin.
Thanks.
In the special edition that I'm creating for the Austin Homes Tour, which is in October of 2024, I have Casey Woods joining me. Now, Casey is the photographer who has photographed all the houses that the tour is going to do an expose on. Very excited to talk to Casey. This home is a little different because it's an ADU, and it is called Double Duty, which makes good sense, I'm sure. And it is Pollen architecture. Elizabeth Alford is the architect. Tell me about this. Is a small space. It's an additional dwelling unit.
Yes.
Tell me about this space and where it is and how it's situated on the land.
This space is, yes, it's a split lot. So they have their own lot. It's an ADU. I can't quote, Elizabeth will speak to the technical specifications better than I will, but it's less than 800 square feet, I think, the conditioned living space. And I'll go ahead and bring up a photo, but it's just so lovely. It's one of those, I dream of living in a space where everything has its place. And that's exactly the space that she has created for these homeowners, giving them what they wanted. It is in East Austin. It's across the street from a great little restaurant. They wanted things to be walkable. Yeah, it's just a really beautiful space in a busy-ish part of it's in a neighborhood, but there's a lot going on, and it can be very open. The front is a whole wall of glass. It can be very open, or you can pull these drapes and make it feel very private and still have beautiful light through these Clerestory windows. So
it's a real community house in this neighborhood, isn't it? This neighborhood's got a very strong community. Like Austin has so many interesting neighborhoods where there are the ones that are very community driven, and East Austin has a lot of that. Nice little restaurants, nice little community feel, almost like gentrified neighborhoods that offer you don't have to leave your neighborhood to enjoy the city of Austin. You can enjoy your neighborhood, and then it's got a greater infrastructure around it. Small homes like ADUs, everything has to have a place, and
everything has its place.
Yeah,
and the way that she's incorporated not only storage but also, and we can look, but there are 2 desks. There are 2 working spaces incorporated in the house so that both homeowners can work from home. One does work from home, at least part-time. And yes, having a kitchen where they can entertain. It's a really sweet a really sweet space that, again, was exactly, this was another where I got to meet the homeowner. Actually, I met both of the homeowners, but one was there for the majority of the shoot. And just hearing how well the space works for him was lovely, and having him show me around as well as the architect.
Yeah, from his experience of living in there. Yeah. I think that's a really interesting thing as well. I love the way that Elizabeth has brought in so much timber inside this house. So it still connects with the outside, but then there is all this timber inside the home as well.
And it has a warmth to it with that. I feel like with the coloring of the wood, lines need to be really clean. You can't have much excess in a space this size, but with the wood, it can still feel very warm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And filled with light again.
Yes.
And still private, whilst it's on a split lot, still private, and creates something really special. It's fantastic. Exactly. So in a small space like this, you could say that your favorite space was all of it, but I want to be more specific. Tell me, what was your favorite space in this home and why?
There's a large screen porch as an entryway to the house. And I really loved that space. I think that space will have a lot of utility for the homeowners, but I saw it. I often go into these houses and think about living there and what I would do there. I'm so lucky that I get to see these wonderful spaces and photograph them and spend 3 or 4 or 6 or 10 hours walking around these houses. And it's hard not to visualize myself being in them. But that to say, there's this large screen porch, and it's like a second living space. It could be a dining space. It opens up to this, alleyway and the community feel. I feel like it's a space that will get a lot of use and that I enjoyed.
Oh, that's cool. That's so nice. It's so nice. Looking forward to being in this home. I love the fact that they've managed to put 2 workspaces in a small space. It's great.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of them isn't noisy on the phone.
Yes, they must not be.
They must be both very considerate people.
They seem to be.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
A designer is only as good as the projects you can win, and life is far too short to be consistently winning mediocre projects. So if you want to get yourself out of the rat race and start winning high-value projects for high-value clients, that's people who appreciate great design, go to my website, archmarketing.org, and download some of the free tools and resources and start winning decent, high-value projects consistently. That's archmarketing.org, and help yourself to whatever you can find.